Thank you for downloading this episode of the Physicians Gallery podcast. We have expanded our gallery. It's free to visit with no need to book a ticket. Over the next few months, we'll be exploring some of the fascinating objects we now have on display, from alchemical scrolls and battlefield medicine at Culloden to bloodletting and homeopathy. Please support us and help us to reach new audiences by liking, following, or leaving a comment on whatever podcast platform you are listening on. And please do pay a visit to our gallery when you're next in Edinburgh. We hope you enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Daisy Cunynghame, the Physicians Gallery's Heritage Manager.
And I'm Rachel Forrest. I'm the Physicians Gallery's Heritage Engagement Coordinator.
And the object today is Jamaica Ginger.
Sounds delicious.
Wait and see. So this object is on display in our current temporary exhibition Hooked, which runs until February 2026. And just to describe it for you, it is a Jamaica Ginger bottle. It dates from the 1920s, and it's essentially a clear glass bottle with a label on it. There's no contents in the bottle, and the label reads Jamaica Ginger, 93% alcohol. And it says, the contents of this bottle were manufactured from non-beverage alcohol and are not to be used or sold for beverage purposes.
I take back my delicious comment.
Yeah, it does stand out a little bit, doesn't it, the 93%?
Yeah, it doesn't really seem edible.
No, I mean, many things are if you try hard enough, but you shouldn't. So this alcoholic medicine dates from Prohibition-era America. So Prohibition was enacted into law around the same time in parts of Canada, Norway, Finland, and the United States. There was lobbying in Britain to get something similar brought in here, but it never happened. There were various pieces of legislation around habitual drunkards and inebriates and things like that, but nothing that actually was full prohibition. Jamaica Ginger was known in the US by the slang name Jake. And it had been around since the 1860s, and you could buy it from apothecaries, from physicians, from roadside stalls. And it was typically taken in quite small doses, mixed with something, sometimes water, sometimes syrup. And it was used to treat headaches, flatulence. I'm not going to suggest that it actually worked on anything, but that's what people thought that it worked on.
Quite a surprise that they tried to use this for flatulence.
Yeah, I think there's a few diseases that it feels like they use anything for.
Yeah, and flatulence seems like one of them.
Hysteria, epilepsy, flatulence.
Yeah.
The big three. And so when Prohibition was enacted in America, high alcohol medicines like Jamaica Ginger just really came into their own. They became incredibly popular incredibly quickly. So just to sort of set the scene, I suppose, if you were wealthy, you could source alcohol from overseas or from Canada. In very rural parts of America, people would make their own. You've probably heard of this, seen it in films or read about it, the idea of kind of bathtub gin and people brewing their own.
Yeah, moonshine and secret distilling equipment in the barn.
Exactly. Kind of you can't see for, a couple of hours, but it's great.
Yeah.
This is not promotion for moonshine.
No, do not make your own moonshine. You will go blind.
If you were living in a city and you were poor, your options were a lot more limited. And so people would start drinking hair tonic or mixtures made from shoe polish or, somehow trying to create their own cocktails out of all sorts of things, some of which were alcoholic, some of which were just horrendously poisonous. So the Prohibition Act initially had two major exceptions: the use of alcohol for religious sacraments and the dispensing of alcoholic medicines by doctors and pharmacists. You had to obtain a permit from the Treasury Department in order to do this. So you couldn't just go, I'm a doctor, I can give out medicines. There was a process that you had to go through in order to be formally allowed to do this. And there were specific alcoholic medicines that you were allowed to prescribe. And these, like Jamaica Ginger, were made as unpalatable as possible. So they made them with, really harsh sort of surgical spirit, non-drinking alcohol is what they called it. and huge quantities of ginger. And it was a very intentional decision to specify how much ginger had to be included in this medicine in order to make it as unpleasant to taste as possible.
Because although we think of ginger as nice and sweet, that's because we have it in cakes and sweeties and fizzy ginger beer. But if you bite into raw ginger, it's not nice. It's really bitter.
Yeah, and that was a very intentional choice. As you say, like, yeah, tiny little hint of ginger, nom nom nom. But yeah, like huge quantities of ginger is not pleasant. And again, it was a very formalized process. So you get kind of the Department of Agriculture agents going around and testing samples to make sure that they are being done correctly. They're trying to make sure that nobody breaks these rules. And the way they did it in terms of the ginger was they would boil it down and see what was left. So they wanted to see just how much ginger was in each bottle.
Wow, that's quite thorough.
Yeah, absolutely. They were very determined that this was not going to be broken, this rule. But it's such an industry. There's so many people who want this product for obvious reasons. It's the only source of alcohol for a lot of people. So you get new manufacturers popping up, ones who are willing to cut corners. And, they can shut down their company really quick, move across the road and open it up under a new name. So they were finding ways around the rules. They were using various substitutes for ginger, like molasses, which were more palatable.
Mm-hmm.
But the big one is when they swapped out these extra ingredients for what is essentially paint thinner, which is not something I would recommend. Not tried it. I'm not going to.
Don't think it should be ingested.
No, I'm pretty sure it shouldn't be.
If it's just paint of wood and metal, what's it going to do to your insides?
That is a very good question. Nothing good. But yes, this way it saves costs. It still has the same, effect on people in terms of the alcohol side, but it's also doing some other things to them as well. And the important thing to remember here as well is back in the day when people were taking it as medicine, they were having maybe a spoonful, but people were drinking this stuff in quantities that it was never designed to be drunk. They were necking it back, and it was only ever meant to be taken as a spoonful. But in addition to that, they're also, of course, drinking paint thinner. And the physical effects of this were quite significant. So it depended a huge amount on how much of it you drank. But people started walking with this strange gait that became known as Jake leg or Jake paralysis.
Wait, is this where Jake leg blues comes from?
It absolutely is. So yeah, it's basically is this sort of, this whole music movement. Have you heard it?
Yeah. So late 20s, early 30s, in blues music, lots of different singers, bands started singing about Jake blues. So you've got Ishman Bracey with Jake Licker Blues. You've got the Mississippi Shakes with Jake Leg Blues. Asa Martin, Jake Walk Papa. They're singing about the same thing essentially. They're singing about people with a Jake walk. A leg that maybe doesn't walk right or like dangles behind them and it makes them walk strangely.
I think there are even more of these than I had realized there were. But yeah, it sounds like there's basically a subgenre of blues that's about with medicine.
There is, yeah. They're actually all very upbeat songs.
People were having a lovely time.
A lovely time.
So yeah, and it would, again, depending on how much of it you had drunk and for how long, it could be a very temporary thing. Could also be something very long term. And in certain areas, I think it was particularly Boston, Chicago, you would see people walking around, decades later who still had this Jake leg condition. So we have so many medicine bottles of different kinds in our collections. And it's always interesting to see what is full and what is empty. So you'll find quite often, full jars of laxatives. People have bought them, they're not taking those laxatives. But yeah, the Jamaica gin bottle is absolutely empty. To the final drop, it has been drained. So maybe that just shows the popularity of Jamaica Ginger.
Disgusting, but highly addictive.
And that's a good plug for our exhibition. Thank you for listening to this Physicians Gallery podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, click like, or leave a positive review or comment. We truly appreciate your support because it helps us reach more people. If you'd like to know more about the Physicians Gallery, our exhibitions and upcoming events, please check out our website and social media pages. Links are in the description for this episode. Thank you.
Went to bed last night, feeling mighty fine. 2 o'clock this morning, the Jake leg went down my spine. I had the Jake leg too. I had the Jake leg too. Well, I woke up this morning, couldn't get out of my bed. This stuff they call Jake leg has got me nearly dead. I got the Jake leg too. I got the Jake leg too. Looks like old maid Dinah, spinning a hive of bees. This stuff they call Jake the leg has gone down in her knees. She got the Jake leg too. She got the Jake leg too. Preacher drank some ginger, said he did it for flu. Well, that was his excuse for having the Jake leg too. It was a Jake leg too. It was a Jake leg too. Talk about your liquor, talk about your booze. This stuff they call Jake the leg has gone down in my shoes. I got the Jake leg too. I got the Jake leg too. Boys, Jamaica Ginger sure will do its part. Boys, Jamaica Ginger will kill your honest heart. I got the Jake leg too. It was a Jake leg too. Now you heard my story, but I haven't told half. This on your tomb will be your epitaph. It was a Jake leg too. It was a Jake leg too. My song has grown monotonous. One more thing I'd say. All you Jake leggers, well I will always pray. It was a Jake leg too. It was a Jake leg too. I got the Jake leg too. I got the Jake leg too.